Hey everybody, Dan with Pain For You. Today's topic is going to be the power of making a decision. All right? So let's breathe a little bit. Kind of bring our stress level down. Exhale some of the tension, the noise, the static, the fear, the doubt, the skepticism. Breathe in the confidence that you're on the right path. Breathe in the happiness and the joy. So just to let your body relax. So, the power of making a decision. So, this holds true in pretty much any area of life, any area of life, whether you want to build a business, whether you want to sell a home and buy a new house or anything else. Nothing happens until you make a decision. If you want to lose weight or get fit, nothing happens until you make a decision. And then stick to that decision and keep working at it. So how does this relate to TMS and chronic pain? Well, we get the onset of pain. Sometimes it's as a result of this TMS, this mind-body syndrome. Other times it's as a result of injury. Just spoke to somebody this morning who had a traumatic fall down a stairwell, and she had what was called bone contusions. So it wasn't a break, but it was like badly damaged, and the doctor gave her a really bad prognosis. It's that's one of the worst injuries because it's not like it's a bone that needs to just set and will be fine. It's literally bone injuries, and because there's no blood flow into the bone where you injured it, it's going to take a really long time. And the natural response was believe in the doctor. He's got the lab coat, the fancy degree on the back, this big fancy office with nurses and staff and all that stuff. And we can make a decision to say, wow, I'm screwed, I'm broken. And how this relates to TMSs, in that case, there was a true injury, no doubt, a little bit more challenging one than some others. But because she was convinced that it was a problem, her brain latched onto it and became very fearful and focused and anxious about this pain. She was told it would take 2 years to heal. So every time she was up on her feet, any weight bearing, and it hurt, she became more and more afraid of it and more panicked by it, and ended up in a wheelchair for a year and a half. Ended up in a wheelchair because anytime she stood up, it was screaming pain, level 10. And, she worked with a personal trainer, like a physical therapist, who basically worked with her. And basically because he was unsuccessful in helping her out. He failed in helping her get back on her feet. He literally had the nerve to say, and this was the other day, 2 days ago's video, where it's like, forget everything you've heard. This guy literally had the nerve to say, I think you might be in a wheelchair the rest of your life. And he simply came to that conclusion because he didn't know what to do for her. So instead of saying, I'm out of ideas, let me recommend you talk to some other specialists because I don't know how to help you, and instead of spending your money and leaving you feeling like there's no hope, there is, probably just go, continue your search, but I can't help you. That would be a much more healthy way to part ways than saying, I think you're going to be in a wheelchair the rest of your life because I failed and my ego isn't strong enough to go, I don't know how to help you. Please pursue it somewhere else. I think these medical people mean well, but they have no clue how damaging their thoughts and expression of these doubts are. So she made a decision that, oh my God, I'm stuck. And she was in a wheelchair for a year and a half until she met a therapist who said, no, I'm experienced with this. I help people get out of wheelchairs all the time. I think in 3 weeks you'll be up. 3 weeks later she was up. 4 months later she was walking. And her legs had atrophied significantly over that year and a half time that she was in a wheelchair. And so, adopting a belief based on what somebody else said is still a decision. You're deciding to accept what they said and no criticism whatsoever, but accepting that, okay, this person's right, I won't be able to get up, led to a 1.5 years in a wheelchair. And then when this other person said, no, I believe you can get up, no difference in the approach. It's just that one said, you can get better, and I'm going to help you, and I've done it before. And so that glimmer of hope allowed this person to make a decision to believe again, make a decision that I can do it. Look, watch me. And again, 3 weeks later, she was standing. 4 months later, she was walking, and she's now been walking regularly for a while. She has a couple other symptom imperatives that we're beginning to work on. But making a decision is really important. And here's a couple of key decisions that relate to, my suggestions on getting out of pain. Number one, what is TMS? Am I going to decide to believe that's actually a real thing? I would say 9 out of 10 people will read a book by Sarno and go, this is bull. I don't believe that. They're making a decision that basically says, this does not apply to me, or I don't believe it, or I have something real wrong with me. That's a decision. And so another decision is whether or not this applies to me, right? So I understand what TMS is. Intellectually, I get it. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. We feel our emotions in our body. But many people will still fail to make the decision that, yes, I accept that. I totally get it. And it totally is me. I've connected the dots between symptoms, emotional world. Yes, that is absolutely me. I've got the personality types. I've got the pain characteristics, and so that's another decision you've got to make. So 2 decisions. Do I believe in TMS? Yes. Do I believe that's what's going on with me? And I accept that? Yes. That's really important. And so those are 2 really key decisions. Another thing that I teach all the time is that emotions are safe. And do I believe that? Well, belief is nothing more than a decision. So yes, I'm going to decide that emotions are safe. Anytime I feel resistance, I don't want to feel it because it's uncomfortable. My decision is going to lead me towards the bravery, the courage, the commitment to feeling my emotions. And over time, your brain will get the message that, yes, this decision is actually true. And I'll loop around as to why belief in a decision is so powerful. But I just want to walk through it. So feeling your emotions, if emotions are safe and you decide I'm going to feel my emotions, that's a decision that you need to make. Then you have to decide that soothing is really important. Soothe your body. Get yourself, turn down the stress, get out of fight or flight, turn on the rest and recovery. That's a decision you make to do this consciously. And then you make a decision that, well, I understand this mindset concept that Dan teaches all the time. Sorry, bugs out here. And I believe, and I'm deciding that this mindset actually makes a lot of sense. And so I'm going to decide to work on this. That's a decision. And then focus. I always talk about focusing away from the pain towards re-engaging in your life. I don't like the distraction. I've said this before recently. Distraction says if I distract myself, the pain will go away. Well, you're still doing that because of the pain. No, just go re-engage in life. Have fun with your spouse, with your kids, with your parents, with your friends, with your work. Like re-engage in life and get yourself so engaged in that the pain is taking a back seat. And when it takes a back seat, often enough, the brain will learn that this is no longer significant. So I've just walked you through kind of the core concepts that I believe are important or essential in getting rid of the pain. But at each one of these steps, you've kind of got to decide, yeah, this makes sense, and I'm going to decide to implement these changes. And so decisions. So why is it so powerful? Right? I talked about, 8-9 months ago, this thing called the reticular activating system. We all have this function in our brain that if you ask yourself, why am I such a loser? This reticular activating system all day long is going to scan your life and your experience and what your day is going on and look for examples on proving or confirming the belief. So if the belief is I'm a loser, the brain's going to look and scan and find all sorts of examples why you're a loser. And so a belief is nothing more than a decision that you've made. I believe I can start a business. I believe I can lose weight and get fit. I believe I can end my TMS by following this roadmap. I believe that I can do this stuff. And when you decide that and believe that, what you're essentially doing is instructing this reticular activating system to scan your life and look for examples, evidence, proof, and confirmation that this thing you believe and that you've decided upon, that I can get better, is true. And your brain will go to work on that. So your brain's going to go to work on whatever it is that you believe, whether it be positive or negative. The brain's neutral. It doesn't care. Why am I such a loser? The brain's going to look for evidence of that. Why am I so confident I can get better by following this roadmap? The brain's going to look for evidence of that. And it's going to look for connections, and it's going to go, wow, you just went an hour without pain. Yeah, it did come back, but that's evidence. I haven't had that happen in a long time. And so set your brain on the right course. Set it in the right direction. Give it the appropriate instructions for what you want as an outcome. And make a decision that you're going to believe that you can get better, as opposed to a decision that previously you may have felt, I am hopeless. I believe I'm hopeless. Which is essentially, when you say, I believe I'm hopeless, it's a decision that you made that you're hopeless. And your brain is going around looking all day long for evidence and proof that you are hopeless. And it will find it. Trust me. If you set the brain on the course of looking for evidence that you're not enough, not good enough, you can't do this, you've got a mental problem, your brain is damaged, or whatever, all day long, your brain's going to look for evidence of that stuff. So it's super important to make a decision. And again, a belief is nothing more than a decision that you have made. And so if you've decided or decided to accept somebody else's opinion that you're a loser, it's a decision that you're making to accept somebody else's view of you as reality, when in fact you can say, screw you, I'm not broken, I'm good, and I can handle this. And you can say to yourself, screw that doctor, they don't know me. Just because they don't know how to fix me doesn't mean I'm destined to a lifetime of pain, right? Decision, it's extremely powerful, because it literally helps form the belief on what you can do, and your brain will figure out how to do it. Your brain will look for the evidence to confirm it. So super important, as you go through this TMS journey, ask yourself, what decisions do I have to make? If you're on the fence between, is it TMS or is it physical, and you're still leaning on what some doctor told you a year and a half ago, that says, well, I see a structural problem and you might need surgery eventually. Are you deciding to hold on to that statement from a doctor who hasn't even seen you in 18 months, but yet you replay that every day? You're deciding to hold on to that doubt and skepticism. And what if you said, I'm going to look for evidence that it's just TMS and that I can beat this, and I'm going to read success stories and go, wow, their story sounds like mine, or their story sounds worse than mine, and they still got better. And what was it that they did, right? And so, with all my heart, I wouldn't be sharing this information with you guys and gals every day if I didn't think you could all get better. There's plenty of times in my 13 years that I didn't think I could get better, but I made a decision that I was going to stick with it until I figured it out. I eventually did. And this is the stuff I teach every day. What I figured out is what I teach. And for anybody going, but Dan, you spent 13 years. Does that mean it's going to take me 13 years? No. I'm giving you the roadmap. It's not going to take you 13 years. It might not even take you 13 weeks or 13 days. The faster you can implement this stuff, make a decision that this is what matters, you can start seeing results very quickly. I won't say a time frame because everybody's different. And if I do say a time frame and you don't make that time frame, you're going to go, Dan, but I thought you said in X number of days or weeks or months I'd be better, and I'm not. Well, maybe you're not, because you're too focused on the pain. Shift away. Mindset. All this stuff matters, guys. So, the power of making a decision. Really ask yourself, in this journey, in life, what decision do you need to make? Because you want to set your brain on the course and the journey moving in the direction you want, and teach your brain and encourage your brain to find evidence that what you want is what's going to happen. So by default, it doesn't look for examples why you're never going to make it. You're never going to get there, right? That's the power of a decision. So, love you guys and gals. Let me know what you think. Please comment below. What decisions do you need to make? And we'll talk to you in the next video. We'll see you.